Okay, so welcome to episode 33 of Suitcase Divas podcast. My name is Denise Diobaldi with Redbirds Travel.
And I'm Cheryl Garcia with ABCD Adventures.
In this episode, we took a little hike out to the Whitewater Center in Charlotte, and it's amazing. It's like an outdoor paradise. It opened in the early 2000s here in Charlotte. It's currently comprised of over 1,300 acres of protected land, offering 40 miles of trails and access to the Catawba River and Long Creek. So their mission statement is the U.S. National Whitewater Center is a North Carolina nonprofit organization committed to facilitating and promoting access to the outdoors for everybody. The mission of the U.S. Whitewater Center is to build a stronger community by promoting healthy and active lifestyles, developing environmental stewardship, encouraging family and civic interaction, which they do all of this and they do it well. Especially during COVID, we talked to one of the gentlemen that lived there. Maybe he lived there, or he could have just worked there. But he was very excited to talk about it and said that during COVID it was amazing because everything had to be outside, right? And this setup allowed a lot of people an opportunity to still get fit and interact with each other because you're all just outside, you know? And I think that is definitely good. And he said they try to make a point to be off your devices and give yourself an opportunity to be out in nature and just let go of the devices for a bit and recharge your batteries with being one with nature. And I agree with everything he said. I think that the Whitewater Center is amazing. And they have so many things to do, right, Cheryl? Like they have tons of stuff to do there.
Yeah, so the attraction, and I do want to say, because what he also told us, so they have the TVs that they had, but it just usually has their menu that they don't even play like
sporting
sports or
events
anything. They don't want people to be glued to the TV. I thought he was very informative and forthcoming with us about their philosophy and their ideals of what they wanted. So it was a nice chat that we had.
Yeah.
They have a lot of activities, and that
so many.
It's the first time I went there was, maybe like 8 years ago. And it's grown so much since then.
It has.
They've added
I was there like 5 years ago and it looks completely different. The river looks the same. The Whitewater River looks the same, but they've added on a whole bunch more.
So they've even added on their activities. So their basic activities that drew me to it and that I learned about it was the whitewater rafting is obviously one of their big things that they have. So it's a man-made area. And they actually turn the rafts on and off. So you can see the river calm and then you can see it with its rapids. And then they have you can even do whitewater kayaking throughout that, which they did have the Olympics trained there for the whitewater kayaking. So that was really cool. They also have flat water kayaking, and paddleboarding and stand-up paddleboarding out off of the river. So that was really a nice addition because you're going from your man-made water right to, like you said, the river. They also, one of the big draws are their ropes courses and their zip lining, which they have grown.
I do want to take on the challenge to do zip lining. That's on my bucket list of things.
And we did spend the day there just kind of exploring and seeing what things were new. And we got to check out some of the improvements or additions that they made, not necessarily improvements, but additions. They did add the jump towers, which that's something that I've done as well. They have, I believe it was a 60-foot jump tower and a 100-foot jump tower. And you said you wouldn't do that one. Does that?
I don't think I would. I feel like with the zip line that I could handle that. Riley, hush it up. Naughty little doggy. He doesn't like the Amazon guy. I'd be curious to know how many of your dogs hate the Amazon delivery people. It's crazy. Like he knows their tires, he knows them approaching, and he just wants to defend the house towards the Amazon guy.
Right.
But I think I'm not the only one that has that issue going on with their dogs.
No, for sure. Yeah.
But so I would do zip lining because you're in the harness, right? You're tethered in. a lot of shit could still go wrong potentially,
Right.
but when you're just jumping straight down, I don't
But
know.
you are tethered in the jump. So I have done the jumps there.
Okay.
And you walk out, baby, like it's shuffling your feet to this tiny little ledge, and then basically you free fall. So their jump is like a free fall, and then it slows you down as you get closer to the ground. So
I
it's
wonder
kind
how
of
many people get up there and then bail.
but now here's the thing though. You have to walk up steps. So if you're doing 100-foot jump, you're walking up 100 feet to up those steps.
So then that would be a
And
bad walk of shame back, huh?
well, yeah, do you really want to what's the fastest way down is to jump. And it goes by so quick, but I highly recommend it. I've done a few of their zip lines. They've added a lot more since I've been there. They have the canopy zip lines now where you go through
That did
the
look pretty cool. We saw some guy floating through the zip line and just going into the
disappeared into
trees.
the trees.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that does seem pretty cool.
Their rope courses are done really, really well. Out of all the things that I do, rope courses are the ones that scare me. Like, I don't know what it is. I just don't like rope courses. I've done what I call the baby one at the Whitewater Center. It's not even a baby. It's just the level one or the easiest one. And that had me shaking and in tears. But I did it. Like it's just not my that's my challenge is the rope courses. But they have some very intense, they're intense to me. So if you are adventurous and really into that, I highly recommend their ropes courses because they have a variety. You're going through the
They
woods.
do have a lot of options and a lot of
Mhm.
different levels.
Some are over the water. They have the climbing now. So they do have the rock wall, which I have done. This one's I call it their original rock wall that they had. And it's just like you would see kind of like in a gym, really big though, but you're
It is
harnessed in
large.
and you climb up it and just
And
like a
they're
regular rock wall.
3D. They're not like just a wall. Like they're
It's an
big,
actual,
huge.
yeah.
Yeah, they're 3D, so you could climb up one side, climb up the other side, that type of
And they
deal.
have a section for like the cliff experience where it's a little bit shorter and you don't have to be harnessed for that one. And you're trying to cliff climb that. I don't know very much about that, but I have seen them do that. The new thing that they added that I haven't tried, and I have no upper body strength, so I don't foresee myself trying this, is their deep water solo climb. We saw this while we were there yesterday.
Yeah,
It is
that's a hard no for me. That's a hard pass. Like mm-mm.
so what it is it's basically it's a rock wall, but it's arched
And over
over
a huge pool of
pool.
deep water.
So you climb up, you're not harnessed, you're
There's
not
no
strapped to
harness.
anything,
So if you
and
fall, you're in the water,
in the
maybe going
water.
backwards on your back, head first. You don't know. That's the thing. It's
Well,
just
and I think they probably go through the training of, okay, if you fall, this is how you fall. But the point is once you get up to the top, you're supposed to let go and drop into the water. And that was again, I haven't tried it. I don't think I'll never
I'll
say
watch you
no.
and
I'll
cheer
never
you
say
on.
never, but it's not one I'm gonna jump into right
Yeah.
away.
Mm.
They also have yoga,
I
which
can be down with that. I'm all over that. Do you
they're
think that's what the yurt was? Or what do you think the yurt? We found some big yurt out in the woods.
I'm
And
not
they said something
sure
about an overnight yoga retreat. I'm
which
wondering
they
if they
do. I
sleep
have
there or something.
information on that later on in the little
I'm trying to figure
itinerary
out what
thing.
they do in the yurt. But then they also had big open areas back there in the woods that I think you could technically definitely put yoga mats on
So
and do
they
it out
do have
there.
different types of yoga retreats, but this particular yoga, you can go, I think it was from like 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. or something. This one was free. Now you do pay to park. You can actually go to the Whitewater Center and not have to pay other than to
Like
park.
we just
Parking,
walked around yesterday. We paid
right.
$12. It's $12 per car.
Yes. And then you just
Um,
can walk around. You can see pretty much everything. There are parts you can't, like we came
and
across the
it's dog friendly. So
it
that's
is very
good.
dog friendly, but we
Mhm.
came across a bridge that you can't cross unless you have the day pass because you have to be harnessed up. So they do have areas that you can't go through unless you have the day pass because
Right.
you have to have the right equipment on. But for the most part, you could walk the trails. You could, they do have a new off leash section that they opened up for your pups. And over there they have like a little, little mini restaurant that had some food, it had some drinks, and your dogs, they have like a little beachy area, a pebbled area, I think is what they called it, watering station, but it's very dog friendly in that area. And you can just walk around the whole park with your dogs, but that was for an off leash area. The rest of it, they're on leash. Um, then they have I think he said it starts in November. They
Yep.
do ice skating.
They make
So
a ice skating rink, which is very
yes.
cool. And they have the little bistro lights over it and they play music and stuff. I have not been to that activity yet, but that does look very cool.
Right. So I have
Pun
done
intended.
the whitewater rafting a couple times here. Very adventurous, so exciting. I would absolutely do it over and over again. There's different types where they have the family one, which I think sits 12, maybe two,
It
four.
looked like there were a good bit of people on that
Yeah,
larger
it might
one.
be like 10. I
Maybe
can't
10.
remember. Yeah, it might be 10 plus the guide. It's a slightly bigger raft. It's not as bumpy or as jumpy, I guess, as
I took a couple pictures. We can put them in the end of
yeah.
our
Then they
show.
had the option for what they called rodeo, which was a smaller raft, less people. I think 6 max is what fits in there. That's the one that I've done. That's the one I was on when it flipped and I fell out. I fell out once. And then the group I was with, 2 of the other people fell out on a different route because there's 2 different routes you can take on the whitewater rafting. So it's absolutely a great adventure to spend the day there.
And I will say one time that the time I haven't been whitewater rafting on there yet, but I'd be willing to do that too. And the big one, not the little one that
Yeah,
is. And I'd try to be like on the inside so I didn't get popped off. But anything could go wrong. Your whole boat tipped
the
over.
whole
So
boat flipped. We all flipped
um
out when I flipped, and you were trapped under it, and you had to. And they
that,
train you. They
that's a
tell
bit
you
scary.
before you get on. They go through all the gear you're putting on, the gear you'll use. They walk you through what you should and shouldn't do if XYZ happens. But I'll tell you, when that raft flipped and we were underneath it, it's pitch black, you're bouncing in and out of the water. It kind of goes out your brain what you're supposed to do, and you're just
Yeah,
trying
you
to
go
get
into
out.
panic mode, right?
It's survival mode more than panic mode. You're just like, I've got to get out from underneath this raft. But it
Right.
was a
That would
lot
be
of fun.
terrifying. Now
Yeah.
you're making me afraid to go. But I think
Well, and this is what I like. So if you are nervous about it, and this is what I kept in the back of my mind because I've not been whitewater rafting on like natural whitewater
and
raft.
see, I have been, but it wasn't like the rapids here at the Whitewater Center. Some of them are pretty
They
intense.
do have different levels.
Yeah,
So if you go one route, I think, oh, I wish I'd written this down, level 3 rafting and 4 maybe. I'm not quite sure. But one side the rafts were the higher level, and then the other side they were
more
obviously the lower
calm.
level.
Yep.
But my thought was no matter what, if it gets too overwhelming, and I will say throughout the whole route, they're not really lifeguards, but I'm gonna call them lifeguards stationed so that if you fall out or if you are trapped or whatever, they have people there to throw you the things that you
Like a little buoy lifeline.
a rope so they can pull
Yeah.
you in because a life what are those round things called? The lifesaver. What are they
Yeah.
called? It's
It's
not a lifesaver, but
it's a life ring,
the
right?
life ring, whatever that is, that's not going to do you any good in rapids. So they throw you a rope
It
that you
looks
have
like a
to.
little buoy to me. It was like a little white, and so
Well,
you
it's
could
a bag
grab
of
onto something.
It's a bag of it's a bag stuffed with rope so they can throw it long distances, but your job
And
is
they
to
were doing some trainings off to the one side of people like drifting down and then throwing the rope.
yes.
So they were
So
doing some
there are
trainings for that.
lots of safety. They take safety very
Absolutely.
seriously. So my thought was when I'm rafting there, if it gets too overwhelming, they can cut the rafts off the water and then it's calm. So they can come get me. But if you're out in the natural, you can't turn off those rapids. So that's
Right.
one of the things to keep in mind. The other thing they have is mountain biking. They have bike trails. And
Lots of bike trails,
they did, and you can
different
rent
levels.
bikes there, helmets there. You can rent pretty much anything you would need to do these activities. You can rent if
Correct.
you don't want to purchase them.
Right.
They also have courses, the low challenge course, which is usually like an obstacle course, but it's lower to the ground. Then they have a high challenge course that's a little bit higher off the ground. They had obstacle course that was new. I haven't done that one yet. So we walked by it and I was like, oh, that's interesting. So the best thing about this, so let's talk about the prices before we get into how this fits for everybody. So they have
Right.
two different style. Well, they have, I would say three. They have a day pass where you
Yeah.
can, if you purchase the day pass, it covers all the activities they
Everything you
have
want to
there.
do. Hmm.
And for an adult, a day pass is $79. For a youth, it's $69. You can get your annual pass for $149. So whether you're a local and you're going to go a couple times a year, your annual pass kind of has a better value. If you're here traveling to visit the Charlotte area and you're here for a couple days and you know you're going to try to come back a second day, again, the value is kind of better in your annual pass than just your buying 2 day passes.
Yeah. If I was planning to, yeah, since we live around here, I think the annual pass is really the way to go if you're planning to come back more than once,
Oh,
because and they
absolutely.
have so many cool things there. And then with that dog park and the little beach and stuff and the ice skating. And one thing we didn't talk about was they've got this new trail and it's like they've got light orbs and it's almost like an art installment where you walk along the trail.
That's
And
their
I haven't
holiday
gone to
lights,
that.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's down in their activities and events. So I
Oh,
think
okay,
write
I
some
got
stuff
you.
like
But
that down.
that's definitely something I want to check for sure.
Right. So their annual pass prices for adults are 149 and then their youth prices are 139. If you don't want to do all the activities that day, so let's say you're not interested in any of the water activities and you just want to go mountain bike or you just want to take your dog or you just want to
You piecemeal it.
yeah, you want a piecemeal. They actually have single activity pass prices. Here are
Yep.
example of a few. If you just want to do some of the climbing activities, it's $25 for the day. If you want to do whitewater rafting just for the day, it's $59. So there you can actually pick specific activities that you want to do and just pay for that if you're not interested in the big picture of what they have to offer. The good thing I think about this location is this is great for if you're going with a group and you kind of everybody likes to do different things. This is great for everybody because you don't have to pay to go in. You're basically paying for what you want to do.
Right.
So if you have adventure people, they can come out here and do adventure. And then if you have people in your group that just like to chill or like to observe or just kind of like to be outside, they can come and it not cost them anything to just throw down a
If you want to
blanket,
just
throw
hang
down
out
a
with the
chair.
doggies while they're doing
Right.
the activities and you need somebody to stay with the dog. And like you said, their events are amazing. I've been to the River Jam Festival. They have music. I think it's every weekend in the
I think
summer
he
or
said
in the
Thursday,
fall.
Friday, Saturday kind of
Yeah,
thing.
it's
Yeah.
insane. They have tons and tons of and that there's no cost to that. That's just part of what the whole thing. You just come in and
Except for parking. You're going to pay for
yeah,
parking.
the $12 parking you're going to pay every time you come no matter
But
what.
they did have an annual pass for parking. So if this is something like you're going to come to a couple of the River Jam sessions or you just like to walk around because they have amazing trails, it's worth I think their parking pass was $40 for the year. So
Which
you're
is not
saving
bad.
no,
And
no.
the other event I went to, because this place gets friggin' packed, like hundreds, thousands of people, was the Green River Revival. I went to that a few years back, and that's around St. Patty's Day. And
Mhm.
it's so cool because they actually dye the river green, and you can see them put the green in there, and then they let the rapids go, and then you can just see the rapids are green that day. And that was a very fun event that I went to.
So they like you had said they have the River Jam, they have the certain holidays events, which you had mentioned St. Patrick's Day, they do Memorial Day, 4th of July.
Yep.
They do a couple different events for that. They also have a yoga immersion event that they do. I guess you would call it an event because you have to register for this. And it's a 24-hour immersion yoga camping experience. So you actually go there, you bring your camp gear, and you spend 24 hours in just doing yoga and calming retreat type things. They have their schedule or their, I guess it's a sample itinerary of what they do on their website. So if you're into yoga and you're into camping out and just being chill and meditating and being in nature, check out their yoga immersion event because I think it would be amazing and just calming and just kind
I
of
want to know
recentering.
if you get to sleep in the yurt.
You don't. You have to actually bring your own for this particular
That's
event.
fine.
Yeah.
They can. I just want to know what's in that. Is that just an open floor space, or is that yurt got furniture, like almost like you can rent it out as a glamping type of deal? I want to know more about the yurt. I'm going to do some
So
research.
we'll have to do,
Get back.
we'll have to check into that. So the other activities they have a race series. They
Mhm.
have more than 30 races, competitions throughout the year, and that is biking and running and a couple, different styles of races and on their trails and things like that. We actually took a picture of their schedule. We'll make sure we post.
Yeah.
They have also adventure dining, which I thought this was interesting because I didn't know they had offered this. It must be something they've added since the last few times I was
This
there.
is definitely new.
Zip
Keyword.
line and dine, where you go through the zip lines and you end up dining at the end of it, depending on where that zip line ends. The balance brunch, which was yoga and brunch, paddle to the table, flat water paddle, and then followed by a meal. This one was interesting. This is something we might enjoy because I think it goes in line with the lights that you wanted to see. The skate and date. You're going to skate through their upper pond before enjoying a 3-course dinner and champagne toast. And I think that's
Now,
done
when they
about
say
the
skate,
time.
that's ice skating, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So when they have their ice skating. They also have a film series where they show lifestyle films on Fridays in April and October. Very interesting films, documentary style and just lifestyle type films, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
The other things they have are they do have camps. The ages
Summer
range,
camps, yeah.
right, from 4 to 18. Prices range from 200 to 500. $200 to $500, sorry. They have instructions for kayaking. So if you want to learn how to be like really good at kayaking, you can do that.
Or
First
that sometimes
aid,
that I saw somebody practicing their rolling technique. So like if you get to where you're flipped over, you can learn how to roll back over, which by the way sounds terrifying, but
it does look scary
to know.
too. Yeah, because this is those tiny kayaks where you're putting your feet in. It's not like you're just sitting on a open topped kayak. These are the closed kayaks. So they had other types of instructions: first aid, wilderness, swiftwater rescue, which is the one we saw. I believe it's the one we saw them doing.
That
They were doing that
practicing
training for
Yep.
swiftwater rescue. Team building, you can schedule events here for your team, for your company, for your groups, like your scout groups or something like that.
And they said they had weddings up there.
They
That
do,
one
yeah.
open area had like the bistro lights, and they had stuff to put like tables for reception, and then it had the little kind of altar where you were standing up there. I mean, if you're very one with nature, maybe that's something you would do. I mean, it's very outside the box, so I think it's a great idea.
Right. So I think we've kind of touched on the majority of their activities. So a couple other things that you might be wondering. What about eating and snacking and drinking? So they actually do have several.
Bring it in.
You can't bring your own in, correct?
Yeah.
But they do have several. One restaurant, like they have a market, and then they have a bistro, and then I think they have like another. They have plenty of places for you to grab something to
They
lunch on,
do.
or the
And
restaurant.
there's different levels. Like at the market, you're gonna get like pre-made sandwiches, nuts, like
Grab
little
and go.
charcuterie. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then their restaurant, like we checked that out and had a drink, and that one's pretty cha-ching. I will say that. Like,
Absolutely, yeah.
we ended up splitting pimento.
No, it was buffalo.
Buffalo chicken dip.
Yeah.
With I'm glad I got the pita bread. That's all I'm saying. Their chips were a little hard.
Yeah. And Denise, so the flavor was good.
It is hot.
Which I liked the spice. And
my
then
nose was running.
But you had to cut up our chicken. Like
yeah. I had
for this dip, she had to pull out the chicken and shred it.
I'm just saying, for $13, that shit should have already been shredded.
Right.
And I wish that I had, after I overheard the waiter guys saying, yeah, it is really spicy, and I add ranch into mine to cool it down. And I would have, if had I known that, I would have been like, asked for a little side of ranch to make mine a little less fiery. But overall, it had good flavor. It was kind of had a little smoky chicken flavor. Yeah. And their pita was lovely. So it was like $2 extra, well worth the money. and it was warm garlic pita,
What
naan.
did you think about their beer selection? Because you did sample
So
beer that day, so that was pretty interesting.
yeah, so I try to branch out and I drink beer every once in a while, just so I can feel like I'm, you know, not
Branching out,
the
yeah, and
wine,
try
yeah,
right.
not the wine girl, not the prosecco girl. They had a lovely hazy IPA, and I can tell you what it is in the notes. I don't recall. It's like blue something or other. Anyway, it was delicious. I really enjoyed it. And the cool thing is, even if you're eating at the restaurant and you're not done with your beer, you can take whatever your drinks out and about to walk around, look at people on the zip line. That everything's kind of like that whole you can walk and do your thing and go to the next place. They have stands all around the Whitewater Center. So like if it was one of the concerts, that's the other cool thing. You can get a beer here, listen to the music, walk around, and then you can head over to the other station. And I just like that you can bring your drink out and about and walk and enjoy the outside atmosphere with your bevy.
Right. And they had did you think they had a pretty good variety of beers to
Yeah,
choose
I
from? Okay,
do. I
that's
think they do have a good variety of beers. They have some local breweries. They have draft beer and they have cans, so a little bit of everything for everybody. They also have
yeah,
hard
because
ciders for
they
people that like that,
I
and
ended up getting
prosecco and
just the
wine.
Moscato. I stuck
Mhm,
with my Moscato.
mhm.
What I did like I agree with you that you could walk around with it. So your beer and my wine were both served in plastic glasses too, so we could walk around and we didn't have to worry
Right.
about staying where we were. So that was a lot of fun knowing that you could just come out there in the evening and have a glass of wine and the beautiful because I tell you the water rushing
It's
sounds
lovely.
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a nice
And it's
calm area.
fun. It's fun to watch all those people coming down because I will say this, and I have a video that we'll put in here. Just standing there watching people, the skill level of some of the groups was way less than the skill level of some of the other groups. And so you could tell the ones that were like novices versus experienced because the experienced one kind of stay in the middle and they can navigate that through how and get down. The ones that are not as experienced, they end up off to the side, kind of stuck in, maybe going down backwards, and they have to kind of reroute themselves. So it is fun to people watch there too.
Yeah. It's just a good, nice atmosphere to
Very
spend the
clean,
day. Oh, it
so
was.
clean.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They do have which actually we forgot to pop in here. They do have a store that has gear that you can purchase up at the front.
the gift shop, like
Yeah,
gear.
and
Mhm.
it's been a while since I've been there. The last time I went there, I think I took my scout group and we bought, so that I know they have patches because I have patches from there, but I think they have like sunscreen,
Yeah,
shoes if you want water shoes.
sunglasses, like
Yeah.
t-shirts, sweatshirts, socks,
Anything you might need.
anything you could possibly want outdoor activity wise, for sure.
So I recommend when you go, because you can't, like Denise said, you can't bring in food or your own drinks, but you can bring in a water bottle, and they do have water refill stations throughout.
Right.
Um, you definitely want to bring your sunscreen because unless you're in the woods, there's really not, and they do have places to sit under cover,
They do have covered seating,
but
but
it's
most people that are
outdoors.
going there
Yeah.
wanting to be an outdoor, do outdoor activities. So I highly advocate sunscreen, sunscreen. You know me, Cheryl. I'm like the higher the SPF, the better. But
Yeah.
Cheryl actually saved me because I was on my way to her house and I was like, I forgot my sunscreen. So Cheryl hooked me up with a sunscreen. And I was still pink. I'm still a little bit pink. It was overcast,
Mm-hmm.
but the sun will get you even if it's overcast. So um, definitely advocate for wearing the sunscreen.
Yeah. So what are your final thoughts and your opinions about the Whitewater Center here in Charlotte?
I love it. I really think it is an amazing place to go for outdoor activity, and I feel like maybe I haven't checked it out enough. I definitely want to try the zip line. I definitely want to do the whitewater rafting, the trails and the orbs and the art and all that stuff. I definitely wouldn't mind going back to do some of the concerts because they have some really good cover bands too.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was great. I love that it's pet friendly. I love that they're promoting getting out and exercising and being a steward for nature. They keep everything clean. They make sure that they are having a small environmental impact on the environment, small footprint, green, 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 reduce, reduce, reuse, recycle, all that.
Yeah.
I love that mentality. And I love the idea of getting out and enjoying each other's company and unplugging from your devices. It's a lovely concept.
Right. I agree.
So, what were your thoughts? What were your final takeaways?
Um, this is one of my favorite places to go and to take people when they come in to visit. I love, like, I've taken my kids and their troops or whatever
Yeah,
multiple times because I think it's great. The different variety of adventures you can do. And I love to take friends and family when they come to visit because your entire group can do something there. They can either just watch and
it's
there's no,
very customizable to
yeah, and it's not a
anybody's.
financial burden
Mhm.
if you just have someone who wants to tag along and see. So I highly recommend people check it out. I think it's a
Absolutely.
beautiful area. I think the people there are so nice and knowledgeable.
Everybody was fabulous. Yeah. And it's an amazing place. We're lucky that we have this right in our backyard.
Right? Yeah.
And it's not too far from the airport. If you were to fly in, like we were talking about, we might be hosting something down the road for our team of agents, and we're like considering bringing them here because there's so much for so many people to do. And I do think they even kind of run team building opportunities. We're going to talk to somebody about that, but I think they do have that type of thing if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah,
So
we had
reach
mentioned
out to
that they
them.
do team building, they do corporate events, they have meeting rooms. So yeah, it's kind of, and like you said, they have weddings. You can reserve certain spots there for private events. I mean,
And
it's
you could even
kind of
do like bachelor parties or bachelorette parties. If you're into outdoor activities, they have it all. They honestly do.
we've done a
Um,
mom's day out there before, and all of us moms went whitewater rafting when the kids went off we dropped the kids off at school and we all met up there and spent the day doing an adventure. So
There were charter buses that were pulling up when we were there, and they said it's very popular this time of year for like senior events. For their senior year, they want to do outing for one last time as a class.
right.
So there's a lot of amazing opportunities of things to do there. So I would
We highly
highly
recommend
recommend.
you check it out. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. So Charlotte Whitewater Center, two enthusiastic thumbs up from Suitcase Divas.
absolutely.
And I think that'll do it for today. Y'all have a
Yeah.
great day.
Bye, guys.